I just got a name reveal from a client I worked with over a year ago. Their consultation was private, but they said if I wanted to make a little follow-up video and talk about it, that was totally fine, but they are not going to read the comments because they love the name and they don't really want to know what anyone else thinks about it. A short list of names that he liked were Heather, Whitney, Chelsea, and Meredith, so I felt like there's more like an 80s, 90s vibe going on with his. Mom liked Loretta, June, Ruby, Lois, Ingrid, Felicity, Daphne, Opal, and Elaine. She also said like her guilty pleasures that she would use if she could guarantee it would fit her baby were Phyllis, Betty, Thelma, and Twyla, which I loved seeing those. They aren't names I get to see in my consultations very often. Dad's biggest concerns, like he didn't want a name that sounded too modern. He used Everly as an example, and then he didn't want a name that felt too like frilly or girly. He used Amelia and Juliet for the examples for that. Mom said she loved her list, but she herself has a very sweet name. I would actually consider it to be like the sweetest girl's name that was popular in like the 90s, 2000s. And so it was very common, very sweet sounding. And she said that she almost felt pigeonholed by it. And she recognized her list was pretty sweet sounding. So she wanted to take that vibe and then take some of the sweetness away. If you watch my consultation videos, I usually do like my top 5 suggestions, but I've got a few different categories of top 5 suggestions and then a bunch of honorable mentions. So I sent probably like ended up being like 30 suggestions with the honorable mentions included. And the ones they said they sent back last year saying they were considering were Delphine, Althea, Maud, Fallon, Tamsin, Bryony, Merritt, and Blythe. And they ended up choosing Bryony Blythe, which I think is so cool. If you know me, you know I love alliteration, and something they didn't even tell me until they did the follow-up, so I didn't know this during the consultation. Both mom and dad, their first and middle initial are the same. So mom is EE and dad is JJ. So now baby is BB. And when clients follow up, I like to keep track of what names everyone's chosen. I just think it's an interesting data point to look back on. And this is the first baby Bryony in 3 years that I've been doing this that I've suggested, and they've chosen Bryony, which is very exciting. I shouldn't be surprised by that though. Last year I just checked, the spelling of Bryony was used 10 times. The original spelling, the Bryony, was used less than 5 times. It doesn't even show up on the data, so that's crazy. And I know mom and dad said they aren't going to be reading the comments, but just in case they get a wild hair and decide to, I hope everyone in the comments is kind. I know vintage names and uncommon names aren't going to be everybody's cup of tea, and then you combine and do uncommon vintage names for the first and middle name, and it could be pretty controversial. I love it. If you've been following me, you know I love vintage names. It's kind of like my bread and butter, but I would love to know what you think. I'm very excited about this one. I hope everyone's having a good night.